This right here, you can see this animal real good right now. This is one of the animals that's supposed to be going to market this week, but I decided that I'm going to change things up a little bit. Okay, so these animals right now, they are just a touch small. I would say they need to put on about 25-50 more pounds to get to that 700 mark. I would say that they are just a touch under 700 right now. They're probably at about 6.5, 675, and I really want to be okay, so here's the overall, I was going over this this morning. I was going over my business plan this morning of what am I going to get done, what am I looking to do. And okay, so these animals, they are just a touch small. The animals that I was looking to take to market this morning, they are just a touch small. And I really want to be taking these animals to the preconditioned sale, because when I take them to a preconditioned sale, I tend to make about $50, $75 extra per animal. And when I take 8 animals to market a month, that extra $50 to $75 turns into an extra 400, 750 bucks, something like that. So I end up making a few extra $100 every month. And I was like, as of right now, these animals, they are eating about, I would say an average of about 7 bags of feed a day. And here in about 3 weeks, the grass will be up. The grass is growing every day. I can actually visually see my grass growing. Even from here in the back, I can see my grass growing. And in the front, I can see my grass growing. And I had a real good crop of grass here about a month ago, about 2 months ago, and I made a lot of money. I made a lot of money during that time period. And feeding grain right now is actually helping me reduce my earnings, because I'm actually in a situation right now where one of the biggest things that I'm having to deal with in the cattle industry is that I'm making a boatload of money. I'm making more money than okay, I'm actually instead of just saying stuff like I'm making a boatload of money, here is in terms of numbers, right? Because I say money is not up for debate. If I bring home a check for $6,000, I've brought home a check for $6,000. If I paid $3,500 to raise 4 animals, to bring home 4 animals and raise them, then I've paid $3,500 to bring them home and raise them. And so 3,500, 6,000 minus 3,500 is a net profit of $2,500. I'm making about a 50% return on my money every 6 months. And so as of right now, okay, and here's the thing about money, and a lot of y'all, when you watch me, okay, one of the big things about when I make these videos is that I'm just going to be honest. I'm not saying this to fiddle my own diddly, but I may be the only person you ever get to meet or see. Not even me. Don't come up and try and meet me. I don't, if you die tomorrow, I don't care. Don't come up and try and meet me. I may be the only person that you ever get to see who actually makes money like this. And I invest about $650 a month and I make like a $15,000. I may be the only person you ever get to see who is able to do this. And so I invest about $750 a month, and I make a net return, or excuse me, I make a gross revenue of about $12,000 to $15,000 a month on that $750 a month investment. And so so if I bring home $12,000, I really only keep about $5,000, and if I bring home $15,000, I really only keep about $7,000, and so I really only make about $60,000 to $80,000 a year. But I am legitimately 100-folding my return. But granted that I also have to take leverage to take these to buy these animals. I don't have to, but I do take leverage to purchase these animals, and and I appreciate the value of the animal, and the appreciation value is essentially the money that I get to keep. But I may be the only person that you ever get to see who is doing something like this. It does not matter what business you are in. Granted that if you are in some computer software business, you are also okay, actually here's a good time to say this, because people like me exist all over the place. We are all over the place in every industry of the markets. Every industry, you will have somebody who is legitimately just working 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is what we have chosen to do. You know, we are completely happy doing this. You know, if you took me away from my farm and told me to just stop farming, and you know, even if you just offered me the money, I would probably not be able to handle. I would probably lose my mind. Like, I could not sit in office. You know, I would farm even if you gave me the choice. If you said, you know, here's the money, you don't have to farm anymore, I would still choose to farm. You know, I'm not, I don't know what I would do with myself if I stopped farming. And so, you know, but people like me are all over the place. Not all over the place, but we do exist in every single industry. If you look into the, it does not matter where you look. If you look hard enough, you will find people like me. We work 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, but that is legitimately just this. You know, we just work. That's just what we do. That's what we have chosen to do, right? This is an animal right here that's looking to be going to market very soon too. But she's just a touch small as well. But you know, these animals. Okay, so if I take them to a preconditioned sale, granted that the feeder cattle market hovers at 250 to 260. If the feeder cattle market hovers at 250 to 260. And I take them to a preconditioned sale, chances are I'm going to make an extra $50 to $75 an animal average. That's just, you know, I will make an average of about $50 to $75 more per animal. And that extra $50 to $75, and also the animals will put on about an extra 90 pounds, 80 pounds each over the course of the next month. And so I'll be selling them a touch high. You know, I'll be selling them at about 750. I'll be selling them at about, I would anticipate that they're going to come in at about 750 or maybe even 775 by next month. But I will also get paid for the extra poundage, right? If they are 775, I will get paid more than if they were 675. And so I ran the numbers, and I was like, you know, if I make an extra, let's say I put an extra 90 pounds on the animal, and I get paid $2 a pound gross income, which is very low. $2 a pound is like me lowballing myself. If the feeder cattle market is at 250, 260, this is a number 1 to 1.5 type medium large frame animal. If you take a look at her, she's a good looking animal. Body conditioning score about a 7. You know, if I lowballed myself, I would make $2 a pound, and at 90 pounds of gain, that's $180 plus the extra 50 for the preconditioning. That's an extra $230. I take 8 animals to market, that turns into an extra $1,600 for me. And let's say for me to keep these animals on feed, it cost me $1,400 for the month. Well, I've still netted a profit of $200. But you know, but I mean, ultimately the numbers work out, right? The numbers work out. Let's say it cost me all $1,600, but you know, I'm able to keep all of my animals on feed, not just the 8 animals, right? And so if I do that, then you know, I'm making money across my whole herd. And so I am still able to keep these animals here on feed, raised, you know, with a good diet, and I'm able to keep them fed and everything, and it's still making sense monetarily for me. And so I decided that I'm gonna, you know, I may end up taking them to market at about 775. But even if I have to put an extra 100 pounds on them, it's not, you know, the gains and the preconditioning will pay for that. And so and one of the things that I'm having to deal with right now, one of the things that every time, you know, I look at my numbers, I'm making about a 50% return on my money every 6 months. And so, but here's the thing about money, right? When you look at me, and, you know, granted that you don't have any, you know, most people do not have the, you know, are not aware of what it looks like to make money, right? They are not aware of what it looks like to make money. Most people are either scraping across the bottom, and this is the thing about money, is that when it comes to money, either you make an excessive amount of money or you go under. There is, do not be in this situation. I always say, okay, this is I always say, like if you are, in the, I do not have $2,000 and, I do not have $2,000 and that is why I can't do this. If you are in that mindset, that's very bad. That's a very bad way to think about money. But another very bad way to think about money is if you are in this situation where you go, oh, if I budget this perfectly and I do this, I do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, then it will turn into ED, K, F, whatever, right? If I do A, B, C, D, then it will turn into X, Y, Z. If you are in that mode, that's also not good. If I use this money right here, like this, and this, and this, and then I will end up with 15 cents in my bank account. If I do this, and then I do that, then I will end up with $10 in my bank account. You don't want to be in that situation either, because you are going to make, something is going to happen and it's going to require money, and there is not any way that you are going to end up magically every single month with exactly $0 in your bank account. There is not any way that you are magically going to end up in a situation where at the end of the month you have $15 in your bank account. It will not happen. Because let's say you are in that situation. If I do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, if I go to the restaurant and I pay for my I pay for my rent and I pay for my electricity, and I go to Taco Bell tonight, and then I do whatever A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, and then I get paid in 2 weeks, and if everything goes straight into La La Land, I will end the 2 weeks with $15 in my bank account. What happens if you need an oil change? What happens if your electricity bill came out higher than you thought it was going to be? What happens if if your gas bill comes out higher than you thought it was going to be? What if you go to the restaurant and you end up spending $20 more than you thought you were going to spend? You cannot end up in a situation where that is how, that is also a very bad way to think about money. One very bad way to think about money is, I don't have $2,000. And then you flail, right? This is what I call flailing in the ocean. A lot of times, ooh, she just pooped all over him. But, ooh, yeah, she coughed pooping, and she pooping all over the herd, but it's okay. They'll clean themselves off. But, this is what I call flailing in the ocean. Once you become that person, you will start flailing there until you essentially die. You will. If you become an I don't have $2,000 and that is why I can't do this, if you become that person, you will flail like that until you die. Of old age, you probably will. The chances of you correcting that behavior is almost zero. If you become I'm going to sit here with $15 in my bank account at the end of the month. If you become that, you are going to be stuck like that, and you will flail like that until you die, and nobody can save you. More than likely you will. But that's two very not good ways to think about money. If you look at money for what it is, so if you think about the idea of money, either you make an excessive amount of money or you don't. Either you are above water or you're not. You're not going to be able to be in the situation where okay, here's the thing, is that a lot of times, it's like if you have no money, you likely also have a massive pile of nonsense. They usually go hand in hand. From what I have seen, they usually go hand in hand. If you have no money, the reason you have no money is because what you have is a massive pile of nonsense. That is usually what happens, right? And when it comes to money, the less money you have and the less money you are looking to make, the easier it becomes. If all you have is $1 and you are looking to make a 5,000% return on that money over the course of 1 year, your whole goal for the entire year is to turn $1 into $50. If that is your entire goal for the year, I'm going to turn this $1 into $50. You are going to make a 5,000% return on your money over the year. It is easier than if you have $100 million and you are looking to turn that $100 million into $5 billion. It is easier. It is easier for you to turn that $1 into $500, excuse me. It is easier for you to turn that $1 into $500 than it is to turn $100 million into $5 billion. The less money you have, the easier it becomes to make money. And the less money you are looking to make, the easier it becomes. Like if you took a look at me and you said, I'm just gonna be honest, it would be well, I mean, because it would be okay. Like if I went from, like, right now making $15,000 a month, and then I considered having to make $150,000 a month, if I had to tenfold what I was doing, it would just be harder, right? I mean, it would be harder. Would it be impossible? No, it would not be. I would have to go from running 50 cattle at a time to running 500 cattle at a time. Could I do it? Yes. Would it be harder? Yes. Would it be harder? Would it be harder for me to run 500 cattle at a time? This is a very good way to put it. Would it be, like, if I was going to use me as an example, would it be harder for me to run 500 cattle at a time versus 50 cattle at a time? Absolutely, it would be. It would be harder for me to run 500 cattle at a time, right? I mean, it just would be. If I was going to do this and just tenfold it, it would be harder. Would it be impossible? No. But I mean, I will probably, I would be working more, and there would be, I would, it would just be harder, right? It would. And so that's a very honest way to look at it. If I use me as an example, if I was running 50 cattle at a time and I was making $15,000 a month, I was making $12,000 a month, and my goal was to make $120,000 a month. My goal was to make $150,000 a month. And and I took a look at what I did, and I was gonna do what I did to make more money. It would be harder, right? It would be. It would be harder for me to run 500 cattle at a time than it is to run 50. And when I make these videos, one of the big things that I'm looking to do is to introduce my ideas, to just introduce my ideas, because, my YouTube channel is, it's, granted that, that it's going up on an exponential fashion. I mean, I'm getting hundreds of thousands of y'all watching my videos, every single video. And, last year, I was getting maybe 100. And so, there are hundreds of y'all, on several videos. I have tens of thousands of y'all. And I'm just going to I'm just going to be honest. It does not matter what industry you're in. It does not have to be just farming, and y'all are watching my videos. I mean, I'm just going to, if I get, 2,000 of y'all or 10,000 of y'all or 500 of y'all watching my videos, I'm just going to anticipate that at this point, all of y'all are not looking to be a farmer, right? I mean, you may be in various aspects of the market, and but I would think that what I'm doing here, it's relevant for things beyond farming as well, right? Like even if you're not a farmer, you should not be in a situation where you give up on your dreams because of $2,000. Even if you're not a farmer, you should not be in a situation where you are, trying to put some pathetic plot together. You are in some moronic scheme. You're coming up with some pathetic plot, some moronic scheme. If I do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, then it will turn to, if I do A, B, C, then it will turn to X, Y, Z. You should not be in that mindset either. If you have a massive pile of nonsense and no money, that's not good either, right? I mean, that's not where you want to be. The less money you have, the easier it is to make money. The less money you are looking to make, the easier it becomes. This is true. These things are true for things other than farming, right? I just happen to be a farmer, and so these things are true other than farming. And so but I gotta go take a look at the rental property tomorrow morning. I'm gonna go and take a look at the rental property tomorrow morning. I got to figure out what I'm going to do, because I was running my numbers this morning. I was looking at my business plan, and essentially, if I put this another way, if I sell 4 cattle, I make enough money to bring home 6 cattle and raise them. It's about 6.5, but I'm just going to say 6, because something along the way is going to go wrong, and it's going to cost me money. And so if I sell 4 cattle, I will make enough money to bring home 6 cattle and raise them back up to market weight. And so I'm essentially making a 50% return on my money every 6 months. And I got to figure out what I'm gonna do with the money. Right now, just to put this in terms of money, or just to put money in terms of cattle. Like if I was gonna use cattle as an analogy for money, my big plan right now is if I sell 4 animals, I'm gonna bring home 5 animals, and I'm gonna keep you know, 1 animal worth of money essentially in my bank account. And so that will slowly grow my herd, and that will leave money in my bank account in case I need extra money, right? I will essentially you know, but realistically it's about 1.5. And so essentially I'll just be leaving about a $3,000 cash in my bank account every month, and I will be growing the size of my herd by about 25% every 2 weeks. And so if I was going to put money in terms of cattle, if I was going to use cattle as a representation of money, I bring home about a 50% return on my investment every 6 months. If I sell 4 cattle, I bring home enough money to bring home enough money to bring home 6 cattle and to raise them to market weight. And so if I sell 4 cattle, I'm gonna bring home 5. That will increase the size of my herd by 25%, and that will also leave about $1,500 in my bank account every month, or excuse me, every 2 weeks. And so I leave about $3,000 cash in my bank account every month. And that money will be, if I need money for anything, I have money to do whatever I need to do. And I will still be increasing the size of my herd by 25%. And so that's the big idea for my business right now. More or less, that's what I'm going to be doing. But you know, I got to go take a look at that rental property tomorrow. I got to go look at that rental property tomorrow, and you know, I'm gonna go and take a look at it, and I will probably end up just doing it because well, I will probably do it because right now it's a good opportunity for me as of right now. And I figured, you know, if I need to give the man if I need, okay, so the 180 bales of hay that I can harvest on that field, if I harvest 3 bales an acre, and I got 30 acres, and I harvest it twice a year, that's 180 bales a year. That 180 bales of hay a year, and I grow a very high quality hay, that 180 bales of hay are going to have a monetary value to me under any circumstance. Because even if which I do not plan to sell the hay, I plan to feed the hay, right? I plan to feed the hay, and if I have a very good quality hay, if I bring home a hay that's you know, 12-14% protein and 60% energy, I could legitimately just feed it to the animals and they will gain weight on it. And if I grow a borderline dairy quality hay and I bring it home, that hay will always have a value to me. Even if I do not sell it, I could just feed it to my animals, and I will make the money that way. And so, and if it turns into a situation where I do not want to be, you know, harvesting hay on that field anymore, I could just give the man a notice. I will let him know, hey, you know, I'm not interested in growing hay on your field anymore. And as soon as you get a, you know, and then I will bale the hay this one time, and the hay's gonna come back up here in about 2 months. And you're probably gonna have to, if you fertilize it, the hay will come back up in about 3 months, and you know, you can have somebody else bale it. And you know, and I can make my exit that way. You know, I can just let them know, hey, this is gonna be the last time I bale the hay, and if somebody, you know, somebody else will more than likely want this field because it's already been seeded with a perennial Bermuda grass. You know, that itself is about a $3,000 value, and so somebody else will probably want to. And if you tell somebody about it, they will, you know, it will be easy to find another baler to just show up and do it. And you know, I can make my exit if I needed to, but if I saw monetary benefit, if I saw a benefit to my farm overall to bring home that extra 180 bales of hay a year, then I will just continue to farm that property. And yeah, so I'm gonna go and take a look at it tomorrow morning. And you know, this is one of the things that when it comes to money, this is one of the things that you know, you really do. Okay, because when I say that you do not want to end up in a situation where all you have is a massive pile of nonsense and no money. The reason you do not want to end up in that situation is because legitimately you will be miserable. You know, this is one of the things that I was going to mention. And, you know, you are going to be miserable. If all you have is a massive pile of nonsense and no money, they usually go hand in hand. If you have no money, you also probably have a massive pile of nonsense. You know, you probably do. They often, very, very often go hand in hand. You know, there is something that is causing you to have such a drastic problem that you are not able to make some money. You know, maybe you do not have a skill set. Maybe you lack the character to have good work ethic. Maybe, you know, your wants and desires are, you know, kind of moronic. Like if I went out of my way right now and I said, you know what, I make so much money, I'm just not going to buy a tractor. And instead, I'm just going to buy a Lamborghini. I'm going to buy a Lamborghini and you know, or even I'm going to buy a tractor. And even right now, with just the extra money that I'm making, you know, if I said I'm going to give up all of my future gains and what I'm going to do is leverage myself for a Lamborghini and I'm going to go and buy myself the best Lamborghini that money could buy, that would be, you know, that would be a very moronic thing to do. You know, granted, you know, but this is what, you know, just to put things in layman's terms, I don't even know what that means, but just to put things another way, I legitimately make enough money here on this cattle business that if I wanted to, I could buy myself a Rolls Royce. I could buy myself like one of the best Lamborghinis, one of the best Ferraris if I felt like it. But granted that if I did that, my business would stop growing. I would need to take all of the money that I'm making from my business, the $4,000 to $5,000, you know, the $5,000 to $6,000 a month that I'm making in terms of a net profit on my business every year, or excuse me, every month. You know, the $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year that I'm making a year, you know, a year on my farm. If I gave all that up, if I gave up all of the money that I was making to grow my business, and instead of growing my business, I did something stupid, like I went and bought myself a Rolls Royce, or I bought myself a Lamborghini, then you know, my business would stop growing. But I would have a Rolls Royce, right? I mean, but that's not where you want to be. I'm just going to use me as an example. You know, you should not be having the figurative Rolls Royce in your life. You should not be having the figurative Lamborghini in your life. You know, you should not be looking to go and if I did something that stunted my business growth, if I said, you know what, instead of growing my business, I am going to go and purchase something like a Lamborghini or a consumable good, that would be a horrible choice. You know, and that's not where you want to be. You always want to grow your business first. You should grow your business to its maximum capacity, to the maximum rate that you are capable of growing it. And if you still have money left over at that point, then you can go and do whatever you want with that money. That is what I would suggest, right? Like if you make $100,000 a month, if you make $100,000 a month, and at the end of the year you legitimately went balls to the wall, you did everything, like you legitimately went balls to the wall. God knows it, you know it. You are going as hard as you can, and you still have, you know, $400,000, or you still have $250,000 left over at the end of the year. Then go and do whatever you want with the $250,000. Realistically, you probably want to do something that's tax deductible, right? Because if it's income tax deductible, like if you can find some way to make it a business asset, you know, maybe you know, like put the name of your company on the side of the car. If you put the name, if you put the name of your company on the side of your car, you might be able to write that off as, I don't know, that's up to, you know, you might be able to write off the expense of the car as a business asset. I don't know. You know, figure this out for yourself. Go and talk to your CPA. But like, if you are making $100,000 a month, if you are making $1.2 million a year, and God knows it, and you know it, you legitimately did everything you could, and you went balls to the wall, and you did everything you could, and you still have $400,000 left over, and it's like about time to pay taxes. And you are stuck in a situation where if you do not utilize the capital, you will have to write the government a check for $150,000. If you are in that situation, go and do whatever you want with the 400 grand, and but it does not, and it's not just for the, even if you make 10,000 a month, if you make whatever a month, right? if you have a lot of money left over at the end of the year, and you legitimately did everything you could, and God knows it and you know it, and you did everything you could to progress your business and everything else forward as hard as you can, and you still just have a massive stockpile of cash left over, and you legitimately are in a situation where you may have to write a third of it off to the government as income tax, then at that point, you know, it's time to go for a power play, right? That's my power play. My power play is, if I make too much money, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy myself an F-350. If I make too much money, I'm just gonna start buying equipment. If I look at my bank account at the end of the year, and it's like, oh, you know, and it's like, oh man, I got $100,000 left over in my bank account. I've been going balls to the wall. I cannot push this business any harder. You know, I've been going balls to the wall, going as hard as I can, and I still have $100,000 left over in my bank account at the end of the year. And if I go and I purchase a truck, you know, that truck and that gooseneck trailer is going to cost me about $20,000 a year if I finance it. You know, let's say it costs me you know, it cost me, but then again, it's like I only get to write off 20% of it. And so it's like, at that point, okay, if I was in that situation, I would pay cash. I would ask my CPA, hey, if I took all of the money in my bank account right now and just purchased an F-350, or I just purchased and a gooseneck trailer, and it cost me $100,000, if I just wrote the check for $100,000, am I able to write the entirety of this vehicle off on my taxes for this year? And I think that it is possible. I do think, but I would confirm that it is possible with my CPA. And if he confirms that it is possible, then I would just go ahead and write the check for $100,000 and not have to owe the government $35,000, right? But that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.